Wonderful life. One into order, have roll call.
Gary Taxall.
Who's on the line?
Do we see him?
Yeah, I see him.
Okay. Jim Gores.
Yeah, I'm here.
Thank you.
I'm present.
Jerry Nelson.
Here.
Berta Mosenty.
Here.
Pete Olson.
Here.
Steve Johnson.
Here.
Carol Moen.
Here.
Eric Panier. Leo.
Here.
Russ Rinzig.
Here.
Todd Gerlin. No Todd. Jerry McRoberts.
Here.
Mark Thompson.
Present.
Bun Hanson.
Here.
Stacy Wenzel. Here. Dana Heller.
Here.
Bob Anderson.
Here.
Sam Buchanan.
Here.
John Horson.
Present.
Bill Effert.
Here.
Bert Skinner.
Here.
Dale Heineke let us know he would be a little bit late, so he will be here just not quite yet. Bob Rogers.
Here.
Oscar Scove. John Banks.
Here.
Terry Lee.
Here.
Carolyn Bartlett. Cam Paul.
Here.
Bill Schradel.
Here.
Okay, so let me see, at this time, we've got 25 present and 4 absent right now.
Carol Moen.
That includes Dale is absent right now, yeah.
Gail Moen was on, but
Yep.
something happened. She's back off.
Carol.
Oh,
She's,
I'm here,
where's she?
Yep. Okay.
just not my face.
she's hiding.
IDA and Cook County Clerk have complied with open meeting public notification laws. Meeting notices are posted on the electronic meeting notice boards in the first and second floor of the government center and the main floor of the justice center. A hard copy is in the public meeting folder just inside the clerk's window. In addition, all 5 county newspapers have been notified. And this agenda was posted by Wendy Coleman, Executive Assistant, on January 6th at 3:50 p.m.
Okay, now I have the invocation and pledge of allegiance. The invocation is by Pastor Bob from World Harvest Church.
If you'd bow your heads with me. Father, we come before you and we thank you for this opportunity to serve our community. We pray for divine direction. We pray for peace, order, unity, and Lord, we pray for progress. And we ask that you would continue to bless our county and our country. And Lord, bless these men for their service. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, item number 3, special matters and announcements. The only one I have is that we always pay mileage based on the federal regulations. Last year it was 57.5 cents a mile, now it's going to 56 cents, so sure Jess will be adjusting everybody's time sheet this month, so don't spend it right away. Okay.
I never
Get a cup of coffee.
For this full county board to be aware of. The Highway Building Committee will be meeting next on February 15th at 7:30 in this room. The number one reason, there's one thing on their agenda item, and that is to select the first set of bid packages to begin the major construction at the highway facility in April. I really encourage this board, don't micromanage. They're doing yeoman's work at getting to where we're getting, and I hope you just approve what they present. I think we've got a very solid committee that's doing good work. And I just encourage you to, if you got questions, talk to the chair, Supervisor Olson, prior to that date. And then to tell you, we'll begin turning ground in April, and substantial completion will be in June of 2022. Second, in 2020, we had a really good year for liability and work comp. Both of these costs were down for the county, so in this year, in 2021, I'm looking for a substantial dividend from our insurance carrier. No pressure on him, but he's on the board of directors, so put the pressure on him.
Okay. Item number 4, approve the agenda. Motion by Supervisor Skinner, seconded by Supervisor Mosenstein. Anybody have any problems with the agenda as stated? If not, all those in favor of that agenda indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same sign? Okay, motion is carried. Number 5, approve the minutes of December 3rd, 2020. Motion by Supervisor Renzig, second by Supervisor Thompson. Anybody have any concerns? If not, all those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same sign? Okay, that motion's carried. Item number 6, public comment. We have 3 of them. And just so you know, I'm sure they told you you have 3 minutes and there'll be timed. And when you come to the podium, please state your name and address. And first up will be Max Keeler.
They have a microphone there?
Is there a microphone on the podium, sir? Okay.
Might be on. Nice, sir.
If it's lit up and you can tap the top of it, you can hear.
Let's get an educator.
Too high tech for me.
Me too.
Let's go to the source.
Jody.
No, Jody.
It should just, this little,
Yeah, it didn't.
There you go.
Didn't hold it long enough.
your fingers sharp.
Okay. I'm here for, actually, number 7 for the zoning committee's recommendations. And I'm in, would be the developer for that there property. It's owned by Audrey Fitzgerald. And I do have some pictures that I've drawn up, and the plot plan. Yeah.
Got a grand total of 2 minutes, 3 minutes, so you can start using it.
Yeah, well, you can speak there, sir, as you pass those around.
Oh, okay. Anyway, what I'm asking is that, that it would be, recommended to go back to the zoning for additional consideration. The reason being, several of the homeowners were a little bit confused about the garbage around their property. And I'm trying to, have it rezoned and put storage places on it. And it came to my attention that through my daughter, which knows the family for 3-4 years, that they were having a little bit of difficulty with some finances or whatever, and was looking for somebody to purchase the 3 acres to help them through the next few years. So that's all I'm asking, is it be back to the zoning committee to reconsider, because most of the people that got up, they didn't have any issues with the deal, but they had a lot of issues with the housekeeping across the street and the new purchase of his uncle's house. And they burnt a lot of garbage, and they were very upset about that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, next up will be Ardith Fitzgerald.
She won't be able to talk, I guess.
Okay, are you with her?
Yeah, I'm Jim, her son.
Okay, Jim, would you like to come up to the podium and state your name and address?
I'm Jim Fitzgerald, 1228 21st Street, Cameron, Wisconsin. I'm trying to get this set up for my mom. We don't really use the property. And I have to remodel the bathroom so we can shower her properly. But it's really hard to have help and get twisted around in that small bathroom we do have. I had a couple estimates of $8,000 to $10,000. And I want to keep her in the home as long as I can. And we've been taking care of her we're getting by. She can't do stairs anymore, so that's why I was trying to get the property sold, but if you can't make a decision, maybe put it back to zoning. I don't know how much time. I mean, we've been putting up with it for a year, so, we're just, storage units are low, traffic. It would be like having nobody next door. My house would probably be the closest. We still have 1 acre, 1.5 acres left. And, that's all we would need for us, but my mom, she ain't that good. She's got Alzheimer's and she can't hear very good, and I really don't know how much time there is left, but, I guess, I'd leave it up to you folks. She's lived there for 60, 70 years. And we've been struggling. My uncle moved in now, so I'm taking care of both of them. And he just lost his place next door, so we're trying to keep one floating, and it's just been hard. But that's what we got to do, I guess, when we get that age. Hopefully somebody left. I guess I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for taking care of your family. Okay, item number 7. What I'd like to do is have a motion that we bring this on the floor for discussion before we.
Wait, were there 3, Louis?
Yes, but that the mother was and he spoke for her too.
Thanks, excuse me.
So I'd like a motion that we bring this on the floor for discussion. Motion by Supervisor Hanson, second by Supervisor McRobbins. Okay, 4, get something to say. I look at that resolution, if everybody looks at it, we've got paragraph 3 and 4. And it states, whereas upon testimony and evidence presented at the public hearing, including the staff report of the zoning department, the zoning committee has taken no action, which results in a petition for rezoning being denied for a lack of a motion. And whereas the zoning committee has submitted a report to the county board specifying its reasons for recommending denial of the aforementioned petition for zoning. As you know, when you look in your packet, you had one picture of a map that didn't tell you anything. I don't even understand what, I developed a little bit, but I don't understand what Jim was saying. And, so I just, we don't have enough information here as a full board to be making a decision on this zoning. And so I guess you kind of think how I'm leaning, but I think, Bob, do you have anything you want to say about it?
I do. As Louis said, the zoning committee did not make a motion, called for one 3 times. No motion was made, and the matter died as a result of that non-action. Quite obviously, the zoning committee did not feel terribly strong about approving this rezoning. And all of the testimony is recorded. It's all on record. And of course, the zoning department would be obviously able to tap into that. The rezoning request was to put, if I remember right, 250 to 300 mini storage units on this particular parcel of property. It is in a residential, or there is a residential area immediately to the east. And you can see on the map that's in the packet, immediately to the east, there are, it's zoned residential, recreational, and there are a number of homes there. Contrary to what was just said, there were some references in the testimony to impeding the sight lines for those properties that are located immediately to the east of this. In addition, the developer indicated that he also hoped to put up a shrink wrap operation at some point in the future. That led it into mind, well, if this is rezoned business, it opens it up to all kinds of different uses, including gas stations, motels, taverns. Heaven help us, a law office could even go in there. But there are over 30 permitted uses that are absolutely allowed in a business district. This is a very small piece of property. The closest business district, well, small piece of property that's in the middle of Ag 1, Ag 2, and RR properties. The closest business district is at least 2 miles away from this area. Brings up my old friend spot zoning, of course. And for all of those reasons, I believe that this body should go with the zoning committee and effectively deny this, this particular rezoning request.
Okay, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to disagree with that. It's the job of the zoning committee to fully vet this, the application and to give us a recommendation, yes or no. We, as a full board, at least I don't know how the rest of this board members who aren't on the zoning committee feel. I don't have enough information here to make a decision. And I would like to see this go back to the zoning committee and come up, say yes or no, and give us your reasons why. What you just stated, I understand what you said there, but we need that to come from the zoning committee in the form of a recommendation to the full county board. That's my own personal feeling. Anybody else have any further discussion?
I agree.
Supervisor Banks?
Could you explain where this is located? I mean, I got the map.
It's, I think it's down by Chautauqua on SS, but again, John, that means we're trying to decide this, we're doing the work of the zoning committee, when you start asking those kind of questions.
It's about 2 miles south of Cameron right on Double S.
Hey, Bob?
Where'd you go?
He's back. John? I think Bob's looking for him.
John, can you give me, if this goes back to the zoning committee, can we simply relook at this, or are we required by law to change our decision? And actually, there was no decision.
Yeah, I was just gonna talk to Mr. Gifford about that. I'll be right back up there in a minute.
All right, thank you.
Okay, in the interim here, Supervisor Taxtall had a question.
Yeah, if this is denied, can he reapply for zoning again with restrictions?
Gary, I don't think he can ask for restrictions if it is rezoned business property. I think it opens up to doing whatever is permitted under the ordinance. It doesn't even go back to, it doesn't go to the Board of Adjustment for restrictions to be made.
And Gary, that's, or Supervisor Taxtall, that's why I'm saying, we're actually trying this, resolution here right now, and I don't think that's our job. I think it should go back to the zoning committee. They can tell us what their recommendation is, and then we can decide. Supervisor Schradel?
Well, my take is kind of like yours, Louis. At this point, I don't have enough information to vote yea or nay on it, so I'd have to either abstain or I don't know what I do. I would like more information on it.
Well, if somebody feels that way and they want to make a motion to deny this resolution, because the resolution basically votes it down. So if you deny the resolution, and it will be remanded back to the zoning committee, requiring them to make an ordinance approving or disapproving this. Supervisor Renzi?
There's John. Let's see what his.
The master uses.
Okay, you've got a situation where normally, if the zoning committee recommends denial of, they bring forth a resolution that says, hold it a minute. normally what happens is if the zoning committee has a public hearing, they make a recommendation to deny the rezoning, they send an ordinance or a resolution to you saying, we want to deny this ordinance. In a normal situation, what happens is then either this board either approves that resolution, which denies the rezoning, or they send it back to the zoning committee with a recommendation that they draft an ordinance approving the rezoning. Those are the two options that normally happen. This one's a little bit different because the zoning committee didn't technically make a decision. They, by default, it ends up being a decision because no decision was made. So what the chair is telling us is that he doesn't have enough information to make this decision. He wants the zoning committee to take specific action, either voting it up or voting it down. You know, it's a real gray area because technically, if you look at it, if it's done the way that I outlined first, it's either you guys deny it, you approve the resolution, deny the rezoning, or you send it back and tell them to bring in an ordinance approving. This situation, you know, I could see the scenario where the board says, you know what, we want you to make a decision and bring it back to us one way or the other so we can consider that. That's kind of where it's at. It's not perfect, but that's what we're left with.
Okay, so I'll say,
Lindsay's got a question.
okay, Supervisor Renzi?
Well, wouldn't this be a potential use where they could ask for a special exception, where it would go to the Board of Adjustment, and then restrictions on what they could do could be put in place, so that, or not?
I don't believe that the Board of Adjustment, it's either gonna be, it's gotta be rezoned. And once it's rezoned, it'll qualify for any of those uses under that business district. Wouldn't need a special exception.
Supervisor Horstman?
It seems to me if we make a decision here, we're kind of being the zoning committee at that point. And I don't want to do that. I typically have really, my years here, I don't like to go against the recommendations of the committee. Because, no.
They're the one doing the work.
Yeah, and I don't want that to happen on the committees that I'm on, so I don't like, but in this case, you know, normally we have the sheet that says why it was turned down and everything. And I'd like to see that. So therefore, I'm gonna make a motion that we send this back to the committee.
I'll second
Yeah,
that.
that's right. That's right, we got it. That's right, we're still in the discussion before I can, well, I have to get back. Jim?
Well, I was just gonna say that I would second that.
Okay. Okay, well, I'm gonna close, is there any further discussion on this? Supervisor Skinner?
If it died in committee, and I guess my question would be, explain to me why we have to make a decision when they couldn't make one.
We don't have to.
But I'm saying the resolution, why is the resolution brought to us to deny it when they didn't make a decision there? That'd be my question.
I think that's the rules, if they don't make a decision, it's denied.
I understand, but then we're making a decision based on them not being able to make a decision.
Right.
Is that?
That's right.
Government.
Any further discussion?
Government.
Okay, need a motion, a second to disclose, you want some more?
Just one more thing. I assure you that if it goes back to the zoning committee, a decision will be made. This is an aberration, what happened on this one.
Thank you Supervisor Rogers, appreciate that. Okay, can I get a motion to close discussion? Motion by Supervisor Olson, second by Supervisor Banks. All those in favor of closing discussion on this motion, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, discussion is closed. Now I need a motion. Again, if the full board votes no, denying the resolution is remanded back to the zoning committee, requiring them to make an ordinance approving or disapproving the rezoning. Motion by Supervisor Horstman, second by Supervisor Gores. Is there any further discussion? Okay,
If you're
No.
voting yes, you're actually voting no.
yeah. So I'm gonna ask you to vote no first, and that means it's going back to the zoning committee if you vote no.
You want him to vote yes, because he made a motion.
Oh, deny it, that's right.
Deny it. So you better vote yes.
I better vote yes first, sorry. I'm getting confused too. Okay. All those in favor that want to see this motion denied and referred back to the zoning committee for a decision, indicate by saying yes.
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 All those that want to make a decision here today, say no. Okay, thank you. It's going back to zoning. Thank you, everybody. Okay, number 8, resolution supporting increased funding for aging and disability resource centers. That was in your packet from Jeff. All the ADRCs throughout the state of Wisconsin are looking to get an additional $27 million. I asked Jen Jaco, an executive, if anybody in the state was against that, and she said no. So I think it's a pretty easy resolution. Did I get a motion to approve that? Motion by Supervisor Olson, second by Supervisor Mosentein to approve this resolution to basically increase funding for aging and disability resource centers. All those in favor indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by the same sign? Yeah, motion's carried. Okay, number 9, resolution designation of public depositories and Ellers added. Did I get a motion to approve that? Motion by Supervisor Thompson, seconded by Supervisor Trail. Okay, now, any discussion? What we're doing here is typically the Barron County banks are depositories, but I at exec and I believe another committee, they talked to, and I think we talked about this last time at the full board, when Ellers has taken our bond money from the highway and they're investing it for us. So I guess this is something new here, where executive authorized that $10 million to be allocated from those proceeds to Ellers so they could invest it. Ellers, that's their business. You know, they end up getting a better return than we do by going to our state trust fund or our local banks. And that's not a knock on the state trust fund or the local banks. This Ellers has more avenues and vehicles to invest in that are safe to get us a higher yield. So, is there any further discussion on that? Okay, if not, we got a motion to designate these public depositories, and Ellers is included in that. All those in favor of that resolution indicate by saying aye. Aye. Opposed by the same sign? That motion's carried. Item number 10, resolution authorizing $150,000 transfer to 2021 capital improvement, capital outlay, the SISOP, from the body scanner to improvements for the Veterans Memorial Auditorium update. As Jeff has outlined in here, I better get a resolution on that. Motion by Supervisor McRoberts to pass that, seconded by Supervisor Gores. What we're talking about here, as we've talked about several times, is the upgrades to this auditorium. And right now, we've got a budget of $342,000, which is comprised of the $174,000 we did last time. We authorized that to come from some of the bonding money. We also had $18,000 in the budget, and the biggest piece here is this $150,000 coming from the scanner, which, if we remember, we were able to include the body scanners for the sheriff's department into our, I think it was roads to recovery monies that we received because of the COVID pandemic. So I can tell you, the property approved this unanimously, and the executive, I think it was 8-1 to approve this. Things have been up here quite some time. I'll say, see you, Gary. Lance was running around here, our technology guy, for quite some time this morning. We didn't think we were going to be able to see the people who are there remotely. I like the fact that the public can look remotely on us, and I like the fact that board members, if they choose to get out of town for a while or want to, because of various other reasons, be able to be part of this organization. So anyway, Supervisor Taxall?
Yeah, is it going to be capable of showing handouts like we just were given, or the board was given, that we can't see?
I would say yes, because I probably, well, this week I've got 3 of them yet, but every week I have two of them, and the people that know what they're doing project those things like Jody would. Or
I wouldn't have been able to project those.
right now you can't.
Right, no, I
But
can't.
if we had it with the technology that will be enhanced, you're able to put everything up on the host kind of puts it up on the screen, you get to see it. Now, we won't get to see you at that time, but you'll be looking at the pertinent information as well. And everybody will be able to converse back and forth. I know we've had a lot of challenges here, and I'm on, like I said, twice a week, and they work pretty well, and they're nice. And I've looked at Chippewa, Sawyer, other counties, and they even put some of their meetings on those, and it works pretty good to view that. So, I just think that it's time that we, get in the 21st century here and have the upgrades and even these wireless mics here. I'm waiting for the battery to die and I won't be able to use it anymore, but I still got a big mouth, so you'll hear me. But, I think the people on the remotely have trouble hearing if you don't use a microphone. So, I said my 2 cents. Supervisor Rogers?
Make a motion to authorize that transfer.
I think we already did the motion.
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
Oh.
I'm trying to do the parliamentary stuff right and get that out first. Okay, Supervisor Olson?
I support the resolution. I'm just curious. I see that one member of the executive committee voted against it. I'm curious what the reason was, if that's something you can share with us.
I wasn't gonna comment, but I guess I will now.
Steve?
I guess I don't have so much problem with updating the technology, I guess, somewhat, but we're gonna have to change our rules and procedures, because right now that's not allowed for what we're doing right now. Outside of we made it okay because of COVID, but change that. But I just question whether or not you have to change all the seating arrangements and all that stuff also when we're doing the technology. Two different animals. But in general, I've been to a lot of meetings through the years, different things. And probably the biggest one is school board convention. And they've tried to do this several times and it didn't work. And that's in Milwaukee in the convention center. So that's another reason why I'm opposed to it. That's why I voted no.
Any further discussion from anybody? If not, we got a motion on the floor and a second to approve that transfer of the $150,000 from the SISOP to the Veterans Memorial Auditorium upgrades. All those in favor of that motion indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, say no.
No.
Okay, like you guys, Supervisor Horstman indicated no. Thank you, everybody. Okay, item number 11, resolution approving restatement of funding for a part-time to full-time position for administrative assistant 1 in the Department of Health and Human Services. Can I get a motion to approve that resolution before we discuss it? Motion by Supervisor Hanson. Seconded by Supervisor Rogers. Okay, Stacy, do you want to explain that to everybody?
So far, yes. Okay, sounds like it's on. Thank you and good morning. And I just wanted to give a little bit of information on this request. It is not a new position. I do want to be sure to put that out there first and foremost. What happened is we had an employee in this position as a full-time employee in 2019. And due to family reasons, she had put in her resignation. Through conversation on that, she actually said, I'd really like to retain my employment with the county, but I can't continue to do 40 hours a week. And so we had agreed that we thought maybe we could keep her on part-time in that position and cover the workload. So we agreed to have her work part-time. And then, however, go into 2020 and COVID comes along and other things, we continue to evaluate whether or not we could keep that position at part-time. And at the same time, she submitted her resignation and said, I just can't continue to do even part-time. My family commitments won't allow me to do that. And so we continued to get through 2020 and the budget season. And my mistake, I didn't catch that we didn't reinstate the funding to make that position whole, to keep it as a full-time position funding for 2021. And so what we're asking is to have some of our surplus funding from 2020 be transferred into our 2021 budget to be able to cover the difference from that part-time position to the full-time position, which is about $45,000, so that we would rehire that position as full-time. It has been vacant for several months, kind of waiting for this process to go through. But we would look at filling that position back again at full-time versus half-time.
Stacy, what was the excess for 2020 approximately going into 21?
We will have about between $400,000 and $500,000 budget surplus for 2020 in the Department of Health and Human Services. So we'll have more than enough to cover the about $45,000 that we're requesting to make this position full again. And why I say about $45,000, because it again depends on whether or not that person who fills the position would take a single or a family health insurance plan or no health insurance plan at all.
And once you finalize that excess for 2020, we'll put that in budget item in 2021, the rest of it with the general fund?
Correct.
You're gonna go out into the public for applications, or do you have somebody in mind?
No, we don't have anybody in mind. We will be recruiting publicly for the position.
Any questions for Stacy or further discussion? If not, all those in favor of the resolution approving reinstatement of funding for the part-time position to full-time for administrative assistant one in the Department of Health and Human Services, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Right.
Opposed by the same sign? Okay, that motion carried. Thanks, Stacy.
Thank you.
Thanks. Steve.
Thanks for the good job you're doing. A lot of that surplus, because you guys are so active in getting grants from COVID and that, and we thought maybe that budget was gonna be blown apart because of your good work in that department and several others. We're doing well. Okay, item number 12, resolution approving the 2020-21 annual forest work plan and accomplishments. Motion by Supervisor Renzig, or do you have a question for the amendment?
I do want to make an addition, if you would go to area 14, recreation, and then item G under it, National Ice Age Trail. And I'm asking that we strike the last sentence in that part, which says in 2021, parts of the Ice Age Trail will be rerouted in the Cedar Lake compartment. And this is not going to happen. That it's been worked out so that the ATV, UTV trail will not interfere with the National Ice Age Trail, and so that we won't have any competition in that area, and which is a real nice situation because the National Ice Age Trail is a great resource for the county, and we have a lot of county volunteers that spend a lot of time maintaining it, and so it's nice not to have to touch it.
Does the Ice Age Trail there have horses thing? Is that a horse trail too? No.
Hey, could I get a second to that motion with the amendment that Supervisor Renzig did? Okay, second by Supervisor Olson. Okay, and I was at property when this was discussed, and I tell you, Officer Wolf and Tyler Grutzmacher did a nice job of working with the Ice Age Trail and everybody involved, and the property department did a good job, so I think this is a good compromise, and I think everybody's happy, so.
See what happens.
Any further discussion on this resolution? If not, all those in favor of approving the 2020-21 annual forest work plan and accomplishments, and striking in 2021, parts of the Ice Age Trail will be rerouted in the Cedar Lake Department. All those in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Excuse me, opposed by the same sign? Yeah, motion's carried. Excuse me. Number 13, ordinance parks and recreation ordinance amendment. Well, I know this. Okay, can I get a motion to approve that resolution? Ordinance. Motion by Supervisor Heller, second by Supervisor Stradle. You want to explain that one, Russ?
Well, the change we're making is that there's been a problem with people putting up their temporary stands and most of them removing them like they're supposed to each day, but some people were putting up multiple stands so that they could cover a whole hunting area. Obviously, they couldn't be in every one of the stands, and so our change here is such that if you have a stand out there, you need to be in it or in very close proximity to it so that you're not covering a large area of our forest as your private hunting ground, which we had a few offenders trying to do.
And even out of Barron County area as well, too.
Well, the offenders, many hunters weren't necessarily Barron County residents.
So you're sitting there saying that, what do you call them, you come in, you put your stand up, walk out, take your stand down?
That's right.
Any further discussion? Not all those in favor of passing this ordinance as a park and recreation amendment, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by saying no. Okay, that ordinance passes. Number 14, approve the succession plan. I guess maybe we should get a motion on that and then we'll talk about it. Motion by Supervisor Hanson. Second by Supervisor, want to get a remote one here? Second from somebody remotely? No, all right. Second by Supervisor Skinner. Okay, this ordinance, or succession plan is basically, I guess, I started the thing and I got thinking about, what would happen if Jeff had a prolonged illness, or a county administrator, whoever it is, prolonged illness, or they have some kind of vehicle accident, or they just said, I don't like it here anymore, I can get more money somewhere else, I'm leaving. Now, granted, what would happen now if we did that, I think we'd have a committee that would meet, and we'd interview candidates for that, and ultimately fill that position. My concern is what goes on in the interim, you know, and two, you know, and some of it's, you don't know if a car accident or an illness, you don't know, if he's coming back and what state he's coming back in, or she. And so I would like to have somebody kind of be a backup for our county administrator, where they're given some training, where they meet with Jeff and he kind of tells them, you know, what his job is. He'd have a job description, what goes on. And then if he is gone, you know, say he's gone for 2 weeks, when Jeff takes vacation, I can tell you, he's not really on vacation, because he's calling me, or he's working all the time. So, you know, he needs to take vacation himself, and this plan is kind of a work in progress. As you see what was in there, we don't know, it's gonna have to be refined, but what we're trying to accomplish here is for the exec senate and now the board would, hey, we like the idea of having a succession plan for our county administrator. Let's try to fine tune this thing, and how much are we gonna expend for it? Who's it gonna be? What are the parameters of that job? And it's laid out in general that Jeff has put together, but I'd like it a little more refined. And Supervisor Rogers had a good suggestion, an executive, that we have, once Jeff has interviewed people and some people in mind, that they sit down with exec, and exec had them interview them basically, supposed to make the decision along with, Jeff's recommendation as to what we do. And Jeff is actually, this would be somebody we're looking at, basically, somebody with a county employee already that would keep their positions and their duties and just actually have additional duties, this job being put on their plate.
So what do you call them? They would be kind of a, extra compensation for something like
Yes.
that, or?
Yes, and that hasn't been determined, yes, but yes,
But you think it would be a county, somebody that you maybe have in the county
yes,
already in the system?
yes.
You see,
Supervisor Banks?
Could a board supervisor be, in that role?
I'd say no, because I don't think elected official can work for the county. Like, I know we had a board member who wanted to do that, and he had to resign from the county because of
Compatibility policy.
You conflict of interest.
Yeah, conflict of interest.
Sounds like Louis Coppin, oh.
Yeah, I know.
I think that's exactly what.
No way. Somebody else, or Supervisor Taxdale?
Yeah, is this a resolution or is this a ordinance? Is there a dollar amount attached to this?
Right now, it's just approving that succession plan that was in your packet. It's not a resolution, it's not an ordinance. It's basically you're saying, we like this idea. Jeff, go and pursue some people, and they've also, I know I've seen the posting already out there to get, to request people to fulfill a position. So it's no resolution, no ordinance at this point in time. Supervisor Johnson.
Are we talking about, almost a deputy from already somebody that's employed by the county? Or are we talking about hiring somebody totally from the outside and creating a new position?
Not from the outside, not creating a position. Then you're talking lots of money, benefits, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
We're talking about, ideally, a department head that, they feel they're willing to put in some additional time, and they've got good backup in their own department to cover when that person is, fulfilling the deputy county administrator duties. Supervisor Skinner?
In my most recent experience in our municipality, I think it's an outstanding, excellent idea. We're dealing with that right now, looking at a clerk treasurer position. And I think the cross-training that when our person left, that was not the cross-training that should have been done with another employee. And it just makes things a lot easier because, as you well know, if that person does leave, the responsibility the department has and yourself become it's just a burden on us. And we're going through that right now. And I think this is something that our municipality, in fact, I like this plan. I think moving forward that we would do that in our municipality as well. And I think the county, it's a good idea.
Thank you. Supervisor Olson?
in my first go around on the county board, I chaired the committee, the search committee that hired Jeff. And our previous administrator had already left, and it put some pressure on us to, not just get it right, but the timeline was a lot tighter. We really had to keep things moving, and I would support this 100%. I think it's a great idea.
Supervisor Hanson, now I got Steve, I could wait till we're done again, do the second go around.
I think what we're doing is approving the idea that needs a little polish yet, but
But the idea with the stuff that you've got in front of you, Jeff had to leave, he's taking the NACO, National Association of Counties Leadership Seminar. Guys, a glutton for punishment. And could I get another Supervisor McRoberts?
As in talking to you in our conversation there, I think it has to be understood that Mr. French is the boss. You know, this person would not have any authority over him, or he answers to Mr. French, whoever that person may be.
And it's not a co-position either.
No, and it's not a co-position.
Subordinate.
It's just, because otherwise we're kind of.
Just in complete control while he's here. And if they take some instances that I mentioned before, something else like that. Supervisor Moses.
As a nurse, I make my opinion that yes, we need someone to be a backup. I mean, I watch what our administrator does, and I mean, it's like a whiz. That brain is going all the time, way beyond mine. I think we need to have this completed or started.
Supervisor Rogers.
Yeah, and Jeff has added in this interview process with the executive committee. I don't know if it needs to be stated in here, but I'd like to make it clear that as part of this interview process, that Jeff also be permitted into that interview, because he may be able to answer questions about why he picked whoever he picked. I think John could provide valuable input, and Rachel as well, assuming that neither one of them are one of the candidates.
Right. And then I think that it's, yeah, so they're good things, because Jeff is gonna be the one initially vetting them, but then he will be coming to that group that you're talking about. And obviously Rachel and John should be involved, and Jeff as well. Supervisor Johnson.
In the event that the current administrator, this position's in place, and in the event the current administrator leaves suddenly, would whoever occupies this position, would they be eligible to apply for the administrator
Yes.
position, or is it simply a interim
No,
situation?
they're eligible to apply. They would be our interim person in charge while vacant. But then that person he or she would have to decide, I'd like to have this permanently, leave my other position, come and take this one, and then interview.
Say, Bob, I'm not interested in applying. I think it's a compatibility issue. I think that I need to provide, legal advice and not be involved in making decisions. So I'm out.
Oh, there goes that one.
Supervisor Maxwell.
Yeah, I've gone through this process at another county. We had the key department heads part of the interview process. Would that be part of that?
Yeah.
Right now, it hasn't been, but that doesn't mean it can't be. My guess is that department heads will serve as a potential pool of resources that would apply for this position. So, if we thought that having a corp counsel and Rachel along with Jeff and the executive committee, that I think they could do a good job of that. If they saw, maybe it may be such that even the second in command of that department, maybe we want to have them in there, but that's something we'd have to decide later on. Any further questions?
Let's go.
Okay, Don?
Well, obviously, it wouldn't, not a question, but this would be a work in progress and stuff. We have to realize that. Anything new is a work in progress, and we need probably, I would be very surprised if after a year in effect, we wouldn't want to
look at it again.
Yeah, look at it, rebalance it, or whatever you wanna call
Well,
that.
surprisingly, I brought this up to Jeff in October, and he initially was against it.
Yeah.
I said, oh, well, I'm gonna keep pushing it, so, anyway, we got to this point. Any other further questions or comments? If not, all those in favor, well, I guess we've already had the motion in a second. All those in favor of approving the idea, the succession plan as now stated, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Anybody against it, say no. Okay, thank you, everybody. Okay, 15, approve the Barron County strategic plan for 2020 to 25. Motion by Supervisor Renzig, second by Supervisor Olson. Okay, is there any discussion on that plan? You know, we had some, we had a lot of discussion on this and went back and forth, and I think that developed a good plan. And Jeff does a good job of revisiting this every year. So it isn't a 5-year plan, it gets stuck on the shelf like, you know, a lot of plans do, 5, 10-year plans, put it on the shelf, nobody looks at it. Jeff takes that plan, he looks at the recommendations, he says, here's what we've accomplished or not accomplished, and so it's a working plan, so I think it's a good one that we've got. So. Any further discussion? Not, all those in favor of approving the Barron County strategic plan for 2020, 2025, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same sign? Okay, motion's carried. Okay, and I think report from county administrator is now Jody.
Sure. So the ATV UTV registration data is in your packets, and you can just see since 2010 to 2019 of just how our registrations have increased. So that's a good thing. We will take a look at COVID expenses. Okay. All right. So we are tracking. You don't know how. There we go. Okay.
You haven't had that training, but.
No. Cross training.
Okay.
Something like that.
So we are tracking COVID grant dollars in the Office on Aging, the ADRC, and also the bulk of it is through Health and Human Services. So anything with with any of the other departments we are tracking it through DHHS. And so starting with DHHS, we have several pots of money. Most of them were finished by December 31st, but we do have just a few of them that are going to into 2021. And so we're trying to hold on to those dollars as much as possible because we just don't know what 2021 is going to bring. So basically, the amount that we've been awarded in DHHS is over 1.6 million. Through November 30th of this year, we've spent just under 1.5, leaving about 184,000 left. In December, I mean, we're trying to take advantage of as much of this as possible. So through December 31st, I mean, most of this money will have been spent. We will, and like I said, we will continue to carry over what we can into 2021. Any questions with that? There also, I should point out that we did also receive a private PPE grant from a nonprofit or for nonprofit facilities, which we've been holding, so we'll carry that into 2021 as well. And then just taking a quick look at ADRC, they were awarded about $30,000 through November. About $21,000 was spent. And they are doing, or in December, they did use up the rest of this with IT equipment. And aging, They have about 12,000 that they're going to be carrying over into 2021, but they were awarded just under 200,000, and through November, about 185,000 was spent. So it's really helped out. I mean, it's really helped our budget. So we're sitting good going into the end of 2020.
And just so you know, finance, Department of Health and Human Services, the Sheriff's Department, ADRC, Lake Judy Emergency Management, they all work together to make this thing work nice as it does. They all talk back and forth and decide what's the best stuff, I mean, along with Jeff, and it's really worked well. We were just, again, lucky we've got departments that work together, and that's what the outcome you have when that happens.
And I'd just like to point out too that Heidi Savinsky in the finance department, she's the one that's taken the lead as far as, monitoring all of these grants, getting all the detail together, submitting for reimbursement and things, and she's just done an exceptional job with this. So. Yeah, treasurer's report. This is just something that we put in the packet every year. It's just the total receipts and disbursements for 2020, and that's coming from Yvonne Ritchie, the county treasurer. So you can take a look at that. That's about all I got.
Okay. Then for appointments, Indian Head Federated Library System, that's for Bernell Hanson for a 3-year term. ADRC Governing Board, Kathy Halber for a 3-year term. WCA Annual Conference Program Planning Committee, Carol Mullen. Health and Human Services Board, reappoint John Banks, Carol Mullen, Stacy Wenzel, Lynn Kolpak, Bob Heil, and Randy Albrecht for a 3-year term. And the City of Cumberland TID Joint Review Board, Administrator French. Can I get a motion to approve all the appointments? Motion by Supervisor Horstman, seconded by Supervisor Gores. Any discussion? Not all in favor, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed by the same sign? That motion's carried. 18, claims, petitions, correspondence. Don't have any, John? Okay. Suggestions for future agenda items. I know Stacy was gonna give us a COVID update in February. And that'd be February 15th at 9 o'clock, that meeting. Is there any other future items?
Just put 2 things on his, there's an acceptance of the first bid package for Highway February, and acceptance of the second bid package.
Okay, so you also, remember Jeff said that the bid package from the highway department, they're gonna meet ahead of our meeting on February 15th. So they will have stuff that, bids that they're gonna present to us, and hopefully we, agree with them, but they're doing it for full disclosure, so we can be apprised of what's going on and who's getting them, local versus not. And so I know that committee's been putting in a lot of effort and hard work. And then the second group will be in March, I guess. Don?
Have you heard or do you know what's the status of vaccinations in Barron County?
Stacy, do you want to address that? The status of vaccinations in Barron County. You listen to the news, and some of them say it's great, some of them say it's rotten.
Can everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay.
Probably not good.
Probably not for
Okay.
most people. There you go.
Okay, it is on. So an update on vaccinations in Barron County. We are still vaccinating Group 1A, which is our healthcare workers and folks who are in our long-term care facilities, so assisted livings and skilled nursing facilities. The assisted living and skilled nursing facilities are being vaccinated through a federal program that was established by President Trump with Walgreens and CVS. And so that really is separate from the state or anything that the county is doing. That's a federally run program. Though we are, and when I say we, I mean our healthcare systems here in the county and public health, we're working together to try to get all of those 1A healthcare workers vaccinated. I honestly can't tell you how far we are on that. We do believe that all of our hospital systems have offered it to their staff and anybody who's eligible within their system as healthcare workers. What we're doing right now is partnering with them for unaffiliated healthcare workers. So that's dentists, orthodontics, eye doctors, EMS, home health care, anybody else that might be doing healthcare services but aren't affiliated with a major healthcare system. And so that's what we're working on right now. That's pretty much what everybody else in the state is working on. One of the concerns is ensuring that that is the population that we're vaccinating and not other people. But we're also balancing, because the Pfizer vaccine is such a fragile vaccine, that it has to be used up quickly. Once a vial's open, it has to be used within 6 hours, I believe it is. And so the state is telling us, you know, if you have 2 or 3 doses left in that vial and you don't have any healthcare workers that you can grab and are willing to be vaccinated, honestly, we would rather you vaccinate anybody that's willing to than to let any of those doses go to waste. And so that's what.
Let's bring access to the February 15th meeting.
Yeah, okay. You will see that we will start advertising. We're hopefully going to, in the next 2 weeks, have a mass vaccination clinic that is run by our public health department. We'll be requesting vaccine. We haven't requested any yet, but that'll be again to help assist our healthcare systems to get through that 1A group, because we want to get on to 1B, which is our essential workers. The state hasn't released exactly who all will fall in that 1B group, but we do know in the state that it'll be essential workers and people over the age of 75. The federal government has listed age 65 and over in Group 1B, but our state has not adopted that. They've decided rather to go 75 and above. So we will be looking at prioritizing and putting into place vaccination plans for that Group 1B. And we're also going to try vaccination clinics on a drive-through. We're hoping to be able to work with maybe Mosaic or Barron Electric. We're working with the Barron Fire Department right now to be able to do drive-through testing, because again, when we've got a communicable disease that's as transmittable as COVID, we want to not have 100 people standing in line to get the vaccine. Rather, we would like to keep them in their vehicles and get them vaccinated. One of the challenges with that, however, is that folks need to be monitored for 15 minutes post-immunization to assure that there's not any type of adverse reaction. And so being able to monitor folks while they're in their vehicle is a little bit more difficult, but some counties have rolled that out, and we're going to take what lessons they've learned and things that they've learned not to do to be able to make that work here for us in Barron County.
The police officers and fire, is that firefighters, is that 1A?
They are not specifically, unless they're certified for EMS or EMT or some other kind of healthcare worker, they fall in 1B. So you may have seen though that in our county, some police officers have been vaccinated. Part of that is because A, they don't want that to go to waste, and B, they might have dual roles. They might be EMS and a law enforcement officer. And so, we do kind of ask, I know people have said, well, how come you've got a vaccination and I didn't? Because they essentially think we're the same, right? But there may be things that set one apart over another, or you just happened to be in the clinic and they had extra doses and they needed to get them used, so.
My thought is when we get to the next level, they need to get on the front of the line, because they're having contact with more people.
Yeah, so in 1B, essential workers, you think about, that's a whole lot of people when we look at that. That's barbers, that's grocery store workers, that's law enforcement, that's teachers. And so we are working with our schools, our law enforcement agencies to try to get line lists of people who are interested in getting the vaccine, because of course we know everybody's not going to get it, not going to want to get it. And so we're working on how can we get those names, get those things prioritized so that we can get as many of those immunized as quickly as possible, because they figure our Group 1B, which is the essential workers, is about 60% of our population. So that's where the most of our folks are going to need to be vaccinated. It's going to be a big group of people.
Thank you very much.
Yes.
What's then the plan for the second shot?
Yeah, so
that must take a bit of a organization then too.
Right, so essentially what our healthcare systems are doing now is they are requesting the dosage, and the state is holding back the second dose. So if the healthcare system requests 100 doses, they'll get those 100 doses, and the state is reserving the second 100 doses, and they'll send that to them that week that the second dose is due. And they're basically, what we're looking to do is schedule people. With the Pfizer vaccine, there's 21 days between the first and second dose in the series. In the Moderna, there's 28 days. So depending on what vaccine you get, your healthcare provider will be scheduling you for that follow-up one. Usually what they're doing is they're saying, okay, you came in on Wednesday at 8 o'clock. 3 weeks from now, you'll be here Wednesday at 8 o'clock and you'll get your second dose. So it is a little bit of a scheduling nightmare because that doesn't always work for people, but we actually are looking at investing as a consortium into some scheduling software to be able to do that a little bit easier, and our clinics and healthcare systems already have those types of things in place, so. Yes.
Stacy, did that gentleman by the name of Sam, did he call you? I talked to him here 2 or 3 days ago anyway, and I gave him your name and.
Okay, I don't think that I've gotten a call from him. We've gotten several inquiries from folks in the community, and we're trying to get back to them within the day. They've got questions about the vaccination, but I don't recall getting a message or a call from a Sam.
Okay, so he probably will be contacting you.
Okay.
He sounded, like he was 75 years old and he was real concerned when he could get in, because he wanted to get in.
Okay.
So, one of the old folks,
I do know too, Mayo, and I'm not real well versed on this, but I do know that Mayo is sending out correspondence to anybody who basically has received care through them. And if you fit into a demographic, say your occupation on your health record says that you're a nurse, they're sending out information to you saying, okay, you're in group 1A, you can be vaccinated, and so contact us to be vaccinated. Or if you're over 75, they'll say, okay, you fit into that group, contact us and we'll get you vaccinated. So they're doing a real nice job trying to work on that.
Any further questions? Thanks for asking the question, Donna. Thank you, Stacy.
Yeah, and hopefully I'll have some more updates on that at the February 15th meeting as well.
Yeah.
Oh.
What's that?
Who's
Somebody got a question remotely? Gary?
I just have a comment. I heard that if they increase the IQ test dramatically, we'd find out there's a lot more idiots out there.
Gary. Thanks, Gary. Okay, at 10:13, we adjourned by unanimous consent. Thank you, everybody.